What's up guys, 3 Dice Flips here. I to everyone from the Reddit. Probably gonna post this video on the subreddit, so if you're from the subreddit, hi. We're gonna be doing a little versus between the One Nami clone and the Chap clone, because a lot of people are asking for what's the king of clones for like titanium channel bodies, you know. And a lot of people are naming those two because the Chap clone was the older king of clones, and now some people say that this is the king of clone. Then there is something like the Monarch, the One Monarch clone too, which I never flipped and I don't have. I really want one. I really want to try one, but I don't have it. And then I also have the Orca clone, which is gonna be mostly a comparison for the Nami, but you will see. So I'm gonna go over some specs first, and then we're gonna actually be talking about what are the main differences in flipping and all the balance and weight, the most like important stuff. So let's get into it. So they're both of course channel titanium. I believe they have pretty much the same materials. Titanium is probably like a grade 4, blade is either D2, I believe it's a D2 stainless steel for both of them. The main differences, this one right here, it's a pinless design, so no pins, as you can see. And this one has Zen pins, has screwable Zen pins. So yeah, this one runs in a standard bushing system. This one is on a floating washer system. And that's kind of about it for the main specs. Let's go over some tolerances. This one, Nami clone, got this thing like kind of like 2 months ago, I believe, around that time. I haven't touched anything, no modifications. The hardware is the same, the stock hardware. So no tap, little play. Fuck. This thing is pretty good for tolerances. I know that a lot of people are skeptical about floating washer systems because from past designs they haven't been really good. But this one, it is definitely quite the exception for that, because for instance the Orca clone has a bunch of tap, and it also has some play. This is definitely an older Orca clone. This is like a year old Orca clone, almost. But this thing had tap literally after a week of flipping, and the floating washer system on the Orca clone, it's not really good, or not as good as that one. Of course, it depends knife to knife, but at the same time I really haven't seen anybody having tap out of the box from one of these. I'm not saying that it's impossible, it can happen, but I haven't seen not a case of that happening. In terms of handle gap, since a lot of people are interested in that, the handle gap is pretty solid. You can squeeze it. I don't think you can actually close it. I mean, if you squeeze it hard, you can really like close it a little bit, but they're not gonna slap, okay? Like, they're never gonna slap, at least not anytime soon. And I have the Orca clone, which is also a pinless design, and this one you can actually make it touch. Considering that this thing is a year old, almost a year old clone, and it's pretty messed up, and I've been flipping this thing quite a lot because I think the Orca clone is a pretty good clone, so I've been enjoying this thing quite a bit. Honestly, I don't think that you should worry about that too much. I mean, it's definitely gonna get smaller and it's gonna close up, but I don't think you're gonna have any kind of handle issues with like handle slap and all that relatively soon. Also because this one comes with a much bigger handle gap than the Orca clone came with. So I mean, stuff can happen. Every knife is different again. It's not impossible, but I don't think it's gonna be a problem that is gonna occur anytime soon, so you shouldn't worry about that too much. Chap clone, tarnishes. So no tap, but if I shake hard enough, there is definitely gonna be tap. And little play. This is old. This is a year old, an actual year old body. Thing is pretty good for tarnishes. Like, it is really solid. But of course, I've been beating this thing up a little bit, and I'm really enjoying this because I'm a big fan of the Chap. I know that a lot of people don't like screwable Zen pins because you need to tighten them up, you need to tune them, you need to put Loctite and whatnot. Sometimes they follow you. It's not cool. It's not the best Zen pin system you can possibly find. But these are pretty much decent. The screws are fucked up, and these are actually aftermarket screws, so these are not the original one. So I do have to replace them with some other ones that I have. But yeah, and these are replaced with some T10s. I don't have the link. I lost it. I know that some people asked me in my other videos, but I don't have a link. I am sorry I lost it. I was trying to find it back, but I cannot. So if you're looking for extra hardware for the Chab, or like older the ones product, you can find them in the subreddit. There might be a post about that, or you can just ask somebody in the subreddit and they're probably gonna reply to you quite quickly. But the post that I made when I asked for the hardware for the Chab, it got deleted because probably a lot of people asked for it. So that's also something that you have to know when you're posting something. But screwable Zen pins are fine, in my opinion. At least for these, I haven't had any problem with binding. Sometimes for some designs, if you have screwable Zen pins, if you tighten them up all the way, it can result in some binding. I haven't had any problem with this actually. At least not that I remember of, and I haven't really had these falling out from the knife any time, so I think it's a decent Zen pin system. It is definitely something to worry about, because of course you still want to check on them at times because you don't want to lose them, but at the same time I don't think that you're gonna have much of a problem. Handle gap, I want to just do handle gap just because this thing does touch both in open and close. It doesn't slap, but it does touch. You can squeeze the handles. I do think that the handle gap closed a little bit since I got it, so that's also to show that it's not a problem that occurs only for pinsless, but it can happen also for Zen pins design and tank pins design as well. Even if it's the same kind of materials, steel over steel, there is always some wear on a knife, no matter what materials no matter the materials they're made of. So there's always going to be some wear. You can definitely see it here on the blade and right there where the pins hits, and also on the pins itself you can see there is some wear. So wear happens, doesn't matter what materials the knife is made of. Same thing for this one. It's just that, you know, steel over titanium, steel is denser than titanium, so wear might occur quicker. Flipping in general, they're really different. First of all, we're gonna go over like handle feeling, because for the one Nami, you're looking at really rounded handles. The faces are really rounded, and then you have the sides that are quite flat, basically flat. They're flat. And it's a really nice feeling because it is rounded, but it also feels good for any trick, because the sides are flat, so the grip is pretty good. Also, you do have texturing on the handles, which is not aggressive, definitely something that gives pretty good grip. And then on top of that, you also have the cutouts on the faces, which definitely does help with grip as well. On the sides of the handles, you don't have much. You don't have any speed channel or anything. This one does have jimpings, but they're really shallow and they're really like tiny, so I don't know how much they can do. You can probably do ladders on these just fine. They're not just the best jimping ever. That's it. Comfortable. I like the roundness for fanning and all that, and it's a good feeling, and it's a good grip. It has good grip. This one on the other side doesn't have any texturing. You have chevrons and the cutouts, and it's a more like squared off knife. It has chamfering on the sides of the handles, and which feels a lot different than that. Which one is better? It's really like up to you. For me personally, I prefer the Chap when it comes to feeling, not because it feels better, because I think that the One Nami clone feels a lot better, because these like the chevrons are a little more sharper. You can feel them, but I like chamfering. I like more square knives. I think they're funnier, even because I feel like nowadays there's a lot of rounded knives, and like I don't know. The grip is good on this one as well. The chevrons does a pretty good job of grip on the faces, but also on the sides. These cutouts, I don't really see a purpose for them. I mean, I guess, but like they're not really that game changing. And on the sides, you don't have any speed channel, and you don't have any jimpings. You also have the little latch space right there. This one is probably going to be easier for ladders. Even though, I mean, it doesn't have great jimpings, it's also true that it's tighter, and then I don't know, I just feel like this one is not going to be as great as that one. But I mean, side grip, it's pretty decent, so you can do all your turtling and stuff like that pretty fine. Which one is the better flipper? Which one should you buy? What are my opinions when it comes to balance and flipping experiences? They're both good. They're both really good. I like them both. But they're also both quite different. The Chap clone with the alt blade, I believe it's a neutral with maybe a slightly endo bias. Because like fanning, it's pretty clean. Maybe not the cleanest, but it is really clean, and they do feel good. Rollovers are really good because there is good amount of handle weight, and they're really flowy and they're really nice. They feel pretty nice. You can do them. It's gonna be pretty cool. I like this thing a lot. It's pretty good on anything. Chaplins, I feel like anything you throw at this thing is gonna be quite good. I think that the Chap clone, it's an all around like good flipper, and it's good. It does anything quite good, and the balance, it's pretty nice, because it has pretty good tip weight and has good handle weight. It is a little heavy. It is on the heavy side. The Chap clone is like 4.9 ounces, which is not something that a lot of people nowadays like. They don't think that this is a bad knife because it's heavier, because this thing, even though it's 4.9 ounces, has a really good balance and has a really good weight distribution, and it makes this knife good. Now this, it's a lot lighter. It's like 4.3, 4.2, around that kind of 4 ounces kind of weight, which is a lot more preferred weight for nowadays flipping. A lot of flippers prefer lighter knives, so this one is definitely going to be more preferred than that one. But this one, it's a little weird as well when it comes to like weight distribution, because the blade, it's pretty flat. It's basically a Japanese tanto, so it's a really like flat blade. Really like simple blade shape. It's just a straight up blade shape. You don't have any kind of like, you know, swedge or whatever. It's not like a spear point that it goes up and it thins out. This one is just all the same kind of thickness, and then there's a curve on the top. A lot of blade weight. But the handle weight's a little different because, as you can see, there is these cutouts which are pretty big and pretty wide, and they're in both sides of the faces, of course. But not only that, if you turn your knife around like this, you can see that there's a pretty big widening on the channel of the knife, and that's for the blade to sit so you don't get tapped that easily. But it's also a way to get some weight out and some material out of the handle to change the balance of the knife. And if you see it like this, you can definitely see that besides this pretty big winding, all the weight it's right here on the bottom, and the main like chunk of material, titanium, it's on the bottom. But there's actually these little pins, like these sex bolts or whatever they're called, pivots. And basically all the handle weight you have from this knife is going to be on the bottom. In this knife you have a lot of weight on the end of the knife's tip and end of the handles, so tricks like fanning are going to be really good, but also rollovers are going to be really good, and they're going to be really smooth. But this thing will feel a little weird. Some people say that it doesn't have a lot of handle weight, which is true. I mean that you can do your rollovers, because you can do your rollovers no problem. It will feel a little unstable maybe sometimes, especially when you first get it, because maybe you're not used to this kind of balance or weight distribution, and so it might feel a little off and a little weird. But in my opinion, this thing is totally fine, and you can do all of your tricks no problem, and it is a really flowy flipper. When you get used to this, you will love this thing. So which one should you buy? Which one is the king of loans? If you don't really like rounded handles, don't buy that. If you prefer chamfering, buy this one, of course. But at the same time, this one is a little heavy and can give you really bad cuts also because of that. The thing is, both of these are really good flippers, and whatever body stone you're gonna buy between these two, they're not gonna disappoint you. You're not gonna end up with a bad flipper. It's just that they're quite different, and it's a little hard to tell you which one is the best one, because it really depends on your opinion. Now, you don't like heavier knives, you don't like the 4.9 ounces kind of mark, don't buy this. This is heavy maybe for you, so don't get this one. And you prefer more heavier knife, this was probably going to be better for you. But you prefer lighter knives and you're used to flip lighter knives, this one is going to be good. So in my opinion, this one is better than the Chap clone when it comes to like modern kind of flipping. Again, it does add a little weirdness that can be weird for some people, and some people might not like.
I would say this is better for the standard new kind of flipping style that nowadays is going. Like for the main, fuck it, I really cannot.
Today's standards, this one is definitely better. In my opinion, though, this one is better. I would recommend this one more. Thank you for watching. And yeah, I don't know, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Thank you for watching, and thank you for everything. People for the subreddit, if you're still watching, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.